What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Joel and today I'm going to be sharing my top winter time-lapse tips with you. I've spent a lot of time shooting northern lights, backcountry astronomy, and urban landscapes in very cold conditions. From -5 degrees Celsius in the city to -50 with wind chill in the Northwest Territories. The conditions are extreme and you need to be prepared for whatever comes your way. So with that, let's start the countdown at number 1. The first tip is an easy one, but it's important because it determines other things along the way, and that's to determine your location and the time that you're shooting. Once you have that, you can start to follow the weather on a regular basis. The main things you're looking out for is wind, temperature, and condensation. And those things will inform how we prepare moving forward.
The second tip is to bring extra warm clothes. This means you're already layered up. You've got 2 pairs of socks on, your warmest boots, underwear, thermal layer, Dura Performance insulated jeans, you've got a t-shirt, maybe 2, long sleeve hoodie, down jacket, outer shell to stay warm. And then you've also got extra clothes in case those ones get wet. Gloves are a must. I've got some cool ones that let your fingers be exposed while keeping your hands warm, or heated gloves and a lens warmer inside the glove. Those work wonders. You gotta keep your hands warm.
So the next 3 tips are to help cold weather prep your camera. The 3 main areas we want to focus on are the battery, the LCD screens, and the lens's front element. So our goal is to keep this as warm as possible. So what we can do is use hand warmers. There's an elastic or a twist tie to keep this right attached at the base of the battery compartment door. This warms up the entire area, giving you better working temperature for the battery, making it last quite a bit longer. The next option would be to use a lens warmer, and you'd wrap this right around the battery compartment. The method that I prefer to use is to get a big lithium-ion battery, which will last all night, no problem, and connect it to your camera. Depending on your camera, this one can use USB-C to shoot while charging, but you might have to get a dummy battery and a voltage regulator to power it from a lithium-ion battery source. And the last option is if you have a 3-prong outlet battery or you're shooting near your house and have access to an outlet, is to use an AC adapter dummy battery and just plug it right into your power source. So we want to make sure that either our battery is warm or that we're using an external power source. So the next area we want to focus on is your LCD screen. This is more important in extremely low temperatures like -30 degrees Celsius because the data coming from your camera takes a while to get to the screen. So it can take up to 3, maybe even 4 seconds for you to see a change. So we want to quicken the pace of that. So this is where those hand warmers come in handy again, and we're going to simply place it right behind the screen. So that's important when you're setting up your shot. You want to be able to do that quickly because you're cold and you're exposed. So that enables you to change your settings really quickly. Once your shot's going, this camera enables you to change your display mode so that there's nothing on the screen at all. This saves a ton of battery. So definitely recommend turning off your screen or making it just go through the EEF to save battery and quicken the pace of the data transfer. This brings us to the 3rd tip for keeping your camera warm in cool shooting conditions. We want to make sure that the lens elements on the front, the glass up front here, stays warm and stops itself from being frozen. Because if it freezes, you can get condensation inside, ice buildup, and when the moon rises, maybe some fog builds up in there. And that's really bad for our lenses because it can be hard to dry them, but also you can't see through that condensation. So what we want to do is pick up an affordable accessory called a lens warmer. What we do with this is simply wrap it around the lens and plug it in to our lithium-ion battery. And this creates a small current of heat throughout the night to keep this thing warm, and that keeps all the condensation off of it. It stops it from freezing solid. This is by far the most important accessory you can buy for cold weather shooting. I always like to have a spare one of these as well because it makes for an incredible heater for your body when you've gotten very cold. You can either wrap it around your neck. If I'm camping in a tent, I'll put it right on my chest. Even wrapping it around your hands. This can be a literal lifesaver when you're out in the cold, so definitely recommend getting yourself a lens warmer. Our next tip can cause some serious problems for your camera if you don't deal with it correctly. In our previous tips, we learned how to avoid cold soaking our camera. So what cold soaking means is your camera and the metal and all of the elements that make up your camera are at the same temperature as outside. So an example of what that looks like here, it's really not good for your camera, and when you bring that cold metal into a warm environment, it creates condensation which can get inside the lens, inside your sensor area, and wreak havoc on your camera. So there's two main ways to counteract that. The first is simply to put your camera inside a Ziploc bag, close it up, and then the condensation will form on the plastic instead of on your camera. Personally, not a big fan of this. I like to use my f-stoppers bag, which is waterproof, and place it inside with some silica packets which absorb moisture. Then I leave my bag closed and in the car or in the front room of my house so that the temperature slowly rises. And the slower that change of temperature, the less likely you are to have problems. Tip number 7 is to cover anything metal with gaffer's tape. This makes it so that when you touch it with bare skin, it doesn't freeze to your skin. It's a lot warmer to touch. And it also means that whenever you need a little bit of gaffer's tape, you've got some ready to go. The 8th tip is to invest in these little shoes for your tripod legs. This is really important for snowy landscapes. With a small tripod leg, you're just gonna shoot through the snow and it's just gonna keep going down. Whereas with these tripod shoes, you can kind of place them and they pack the snow down a lot better and then create a stable platform for your tripod to sit on. The 9th tip is an important one for your safety, and that is to tell someone where you're going. You should be telling them where you're going before you leave and checking in right when you get back from your adventure. Because if something does happen to you and you're stuck out in the cold, the sooner they know that you're missing, the sooner you'll be found. I realized just how important this tip was when I watched the North Shore Search and Rescue series on the Knowledge Network. I highly recommend you watch it. I really enjoyed it. It was done really well by some local people here in North Vancouver. On top of that, you should always be bringing your 10 essentials with you. And my final tip for this video I actually learned on TikTok this year, and that is to fill up a Ziploc bag with hot water from the tap to freeze the ice off of your car in the morning. It works shockingly well. That's everything for me. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and like this video. See you guys next time.